One secret change, in particular, was on Vizzini's mind as he surveyed the death and the destruction around him at the wall bombs. And traditionally, if a unit was out fighting a fire during a shift change, they stayed until it was out and collected overtime for the time they spent putting it out. But recently, fire calls that came in just before a shift change started getting mysteriously delayed until a few minutes after the shift change, when the next group of guys coming in would go to work and make regular time pay, not overtime. It saved the city a few bucks on overtime, but it meant that fires burned without anyone trying to do anything about them for minutes. A little girl had died in Harlem recently when dispatchers delayed the response by 10 minutes. The department took so long to respond to another fatal Harlem fire that residents jeered the mayor and the fire commissioner when they arrived on the scene. Shortly after that, a number of people in Queens had died when an unserviced fire alarm box in the street had malfunctioned. People pulled all the alarms, but the signals never made it to the fire department, and the fire just burned. There have been dozens, maybe hundreds more deaths in the past few years, where if a nearby fire company hadn't been closed, if a fire hydrant had worked, if the men hadn't been exhausted and dehydrated and sick with carbon monoxide poisoning from fighting fires all day, things might have turned out differently. This sort of thing was exactly what happened during the mysterious wall bombs fire. 22 firefighters responded to the initial fire alarm instead of the 30 who would have been there if it weren't for the manpower cuts. Firemen had called for backup at 8:54, 6 minutes before the shift change. But dispatchers didn't send out that second alarm until 9:02, 2 minutes after the shift change. Meant the fire had an extra 8-10 minutes to burn in that illegal attic that eventually collapsed. Vizzini thought there was something fishy about the whole affair. As he watched Mayor Koch talk to the fire department brass and address the gaggle of reporters and photographers on the scene, he knew it wasn't polite to level accusations, certainly not after a tragedy. He knew that talking out of turn might even jeopardize the contract negotiations. But 6 firemen were dead. Charles Boughton, James Cutillo, Harold Hastings, James McManus, George Rice, and the youngest, 29-year-old Billy O'Connor. Each of them had a wife and a family, 18 kids all told, who suddenly had no fathers. We charged the city stalled on the second alarm for needed manpower in order to avoid paying overtime, Vizzini told reporters. Death was the grim paymaster.